Now let's walk through the difference for people who may not know of these prepaid tuition plans, I think that's what they're called, versus the things some people are very familiar with, the 529 college savings plan. Give us both of those for dummies.
Okay, so they're both 529 plans. There's college savings plans where parents essentially have kind of like the way you have a 401k. You have your own portfolio, you're contributing money, you can make changes if you want to change your asset allocation as the market moves. And then there's a prepaid tuition plan where you're essentially contributing money. That money is going into a big pool which the state is managing. Other parents are contributing money there too. And essentially what all these parents are doing is they're paying today's tuition prices to lock in future tuition prices. The state is on the hook for investing that money and making sure that they're going to pay out what future tuition prices are in that state when your child goes to college.
So to some extent it sounds like it's about control. With the basic 529 plan, you're controlling where the assets are allocated. With these state prepaid tuition plans, you're basically saying to the state, I trust you to figure out what to do with this money and to promise me that the time when, you know, Jenny and Bobby go to college, that money's going to be there at the rate I need it to be at to pay for their college then.
Exactly, and that's also why over the past couple of years a growing number of parents have been investing in prepaid tuition plans, because these are average investors who've been spooked by the market volatility, the market losses over the past couple of years, and they're saying, you know what, I'm going to transfer this risk from myself over to the state. If the state is essentially promising me and guaranteeing me that they'll be able to deliver, you know, 10 years down the road or whenever it is that my child is going to college, then I'll just make those contributions to the state, to that prepaid tuition plan, as opposed to investing my own money in a savings plan and dealing with the consequences of those losses.
Now, Warren Buffett isn't sitting on the boards of these states like helping invest this money. I mean, the states have to do a good job. They don't have a crystal ball any more than anybody else does in terms of investing this money. Let's talk about these promises they make. How guaranteed are these guarantees?
That is a big problem, and it's really coming to light right now. So many of these guarantees and promises are not exactly that. In fact, there are currently 18 states that offer prepaid tuition plans, and only 5 of those states offer a guarantee, an actual guarantee, where if something was to go wrong and they didn't have the money, they would still find a way to get money from other parts of the state budget or from taxpayers to pay out parents. Only 5 states out of the 18 that offer these plans actually give a real guarantee. The rest of them, there's a lot of fine print going on there, and parents can find themselves in situations where if that money is not managed correctly by the state, parents might not actually get the payout they've been expecting. There's one case right now that's going on that really depicts how this can go wrong. In Alabama, for the past couple of years, parents in the state have been dealing with, basically parents went to the state with a lawsuit because what they discovered was that the prepaid tuition plan there was severely underfunded, and the state was at risk of not being able to pay out the money that parents were expecting. What the decision is as of right now, because this problem still has not been resolved, is that the state has said, okay, we will pay out 2010 tuition rates to all parents in these plans. But if you have a child who's 5 years old, 10 years old, years away from going to college, what are 2010 tuition rates going to do for you? That's not why you invested in that plan to begin with. And in fact, a parent right now is basically appealed this decision and took it to the state Supreme Court, and they're waiting to see what will happen.
And of course, we don't know what the state budgets are going to look like when that kid finally does go to school, and who's going to be in office at that point, and what could happen. Very quickly, backlash to these programs brewing?
Well, more and more parents are asking whether it's worth to do this. What we're seeing is that a growing number of states are underfunded. For example, Illinois has about a 30% deficit in its plan right now. South Carolina about a 20% deficit. Kentucky also has a deficit. So more and more plans are running deficits, and now there's a question of where do parents go? They're worried about college savings plans because of market movements. They're worried about prepaid tuition plans because of states' abilities to manage that money. So it remains to be seen what will happen.